Now, we were originally going to celebrate this day in history in Transformers, that it would be the 35th anniversary of the first episode of Super Fight Lifeform Transformers, first episode in Japan, which was July 6th, 1985. 35th anniversary of Japan getting the grand return of those robots on their soil, prior to that being Diaclon and Microman stuff with no real major fiction outside of catalog stuff. But Japan threw us a curveball here. And not only did they say, hey, we're going to celebrate the 35th anniversary of the first broadcast of the show in their native soil, but we're going to do a big reveal. And this comes from the Takara-Tomy Transformers PR Twitter account, or TF_PR. And they said, celebration 35th anniversary Transformers today, July 6, 2020, is the 35th anniversary of the broadcast of Super Lifeform Transformers in Japan. Thanks everyone for the support. Thank you very much. We'll be announcing new information in commemoration. Please see the image. And the image that they included, and by the way, this is all translated from Japanese roughly, and the image included was a silhouette of what looks like a seeker jet with a pretty much a caption saying, beyond 15 years, new item approaching. Now, what this is suggesting, because when you look at the 15-year connection there, it's pretty clear that they have a new masterpiece mold for the seeker jet coming. And for people that have been keeping track up to this point, this is now going to be the third time that the Seeker mold is going to be revisited in the Masterpiece line. Up to this point, the only other character to have done that kind of revisiting has been Convoy, aka Optimus Prime. He had his original MP-01, his MP-10 remold revisit, and now the recent 35th anniversary one that we just got not too long ago. Other characters, much like Hot Rod, had the revisit, Bumblebee had the revisit, and of course Megatron. But it looks like now the easily profitable Seeker Jet is being revisited for a third time, which is, I find, quite interesting, because it wasn't too long ago that, like, I guess the Seeker completists of Masterpiece were just picking up, I think it was MP Dirge in 2017, 3 years ago, and finally going like, all right, I'm done my Seeker Jets, hooray. But it's funny because, like, when you look at the history of how that collecting went, I mean, it's almost, I don't want to say frustrating, but it must have been frustrating for a lot of individuals that make Masterpiece collecting a really important, integral part of their collection, and the chase through all those years. Because the very first Masterpiece Starscream was the MP-3 back in 2006, and it was the Kawamori colored one, which had the weird color scheme. I actually bought that one just because it was such a weird color scheme. And it was kind of hit or miss with fans because of how, you know, the mold was and the transformation and how it didn't look exactly like the character model. But what did we really know of accuracy at the time in 2006 when we were just starting like a classics line? And what we really had of other masterpieces at that time was MP-01 Optimus Prime and MP-02 Ultra Magnus, which was just a white repaint of Optimus Prime. So in 2006, we were just grateful for whatever we got, even something as impressive as that. And then, of course, Japan later on got MP-6 Skywarp using that Starscream mold. And then later on, MP-7 Thundercracker. And then, of course, they did a Ghost Clear version, too, of the first Starscream. But we wouldn't actually see the proper colors for that mold until America. Because after Japan got MP-3 Starscream in those weird, you know, grayish, greenish, turquoise colors, Hasbro was the one that got it through the Classics line in 2007, and then we also, from that first mold, also got a Skywarp from the Universe line in 2009. And that was kind of the germination of the history of that first Starscream Seeker mold, and I pretty much listed all the ones that would use that first one. Then the MP-11 version came out in 2012, and what that one did was it upped the proportions in a lot of areas. It got rid of the, I guess we'll call it the hip rudders that then were moved down and retooled properly. It still uses the general skeleton of the original MP3 version, but retools it heavily to give better proportions and something that was a little more, and I use air quotes here, show accurate. And so obviously MP11 was going to be Starscream in 2012. And then a couple months later, they did MP11S, which was Sunstorm in Japan, and then MP11A, which was Acid Storm in 2013. And then they would finish the two others in Japan with MP11SW, which was Skywarp in 2015, and MP11T, which was Thundercracker in 2015 of November. While on the American side, we got, the first time we ever got our taste of that new Seeker mold was when we finally got Thundercracker. It was just called Masterpiece Thundercracker. It was put on a very Generations universe kind of looking packaging in 2012, and then we started that weird, like, hey, we're going to have numbered masterpieces here in America, and so we got MP01 Acid Storm in 2013, MP05 Sunstorm in 2011, and MP07 Starscream, which was using that first MP11 generation, MP11 masterpiece mold in 2015, and those were the only ones we got. Like, we got those specific ones. We never really got the Skywarp, so we never really completed our Seeker Jets on the American side, or the stateside side, with that new mold. So as it stands right now, the only Skywarp that is available in Masterpiece scale, if you were a Hasbro Masterpiece collector, is that old MP3 mold from 2009. And then going back to Japan, they went, well, we're going to complete the Seekers, so we're going to do our Coneheads. And between 2016 and 2017, through very difficult ways, whether it be Takara-Tomy, Mall Store, otherwise, you had Ramjet, Thrust, and Dirge, which were done in 2016 between 2017. And that was it. That was it. That was all your Seekers. All your Seekers were complete. You even got some Sunstorms, some Acid Storms, some Ghost of Starscreams across all the different molds and stuff. And that was it. And now it looks like, I guess, next year they want to do I think the numbering will be MP-52, but next year will be technically the 15th anniversary of the MP-3 Starscream Masterpiece coming out, and they want to revisit that mold. Now, I mean, looking at this image, obviously it's like, so how are they going to reinvent the wheel this time? You know, one could argue that this could be a example of how much we've already had Seeker molds revisited like crazy within Earthrise and Siege, and maybe some new form of engineering was discovered through that, and, you know, the Takara designers and engineers going, you know what, now that we've discovered something, doing it through this Voyager class and Earthrise and stuff, maybe we want to revisit this character again and put those new tweaks and give hyper show accuracy, which is really what Masterpiece is going for, if it's any indicator, with both the Bumblebee and, of course, the Optimus Prime that we just got recently, and even Megatron. So, and I mean, in my opinion, that's what I feel Masterpiece really is. It's about super show accuracy. And if you wanted like crazy engineering or something that's a whole other different animal, you know, there's other lines that kind of fit that mold. But judging by this silhouette, it looks like the proportions are a lot more show accurate, especially the way that the wings don't, like, I guess, caper down more to the hips and stuff like the previous two molds really did. I mean, again, it's hard to tell with a silhouette. It really is. But it's something that, you know, I was even reminded when we got the MP-35th anniversary Optimus Prime, and he had that, quote, Starscream mode where he has like the Starscream head. And I remember looking at that Starscream head on the 35th anniversary Masterpiece convoy and going like, wow, even though that's not supposed to be a Starscream toy, that head sculpt is almost nicer than all the Masterpiece Starscreams we've gotten thus far. So I think that they really want to revisit it from a show accuracy, give that the proportions and the colors and the look that'll really hit and give people what they want in terms of the definitive Starscream. But of course, what this also means, to the frustration of a lot of collectors, that means that when this thing is going to come out, you know the inevitable other repaints will be coming afterwards. So this isn't just the one purchase. It's almost like everyone now is going to have to kind of, you know, pivot and go, well, we're going to be buying another minimum 6 Seeker Jets if you're talking just the traditional 3 and then the Coneheads. And then if it opens up to other characters too, like that of Acid Storm and Sunstorm, or a Ghost of Starscream, you know, it could be pretty crazy. And you're talking right there then 8 reveals, 8 purchases, compounded with the fact that we have a new kind of masterpiece price point. So to give perspective, the original MP3 Starscream, when it first came out, was $110 to $125 American, as opposed to what we're used to now with Convoy and some of the others. The rumor is, and it's just a rumor, but I mean, judging by how the things have been going, this is probably going to be a $200 to $300 release, almost doubling, if not almost tripling its original price if it goes to that $300 price point. So where is it justifiable to be almost 3 times the price from, literally 15 years to triple in price? Inflation and plastic did not triple in price. So that's just something, again, I don't want to create, worry, but it is something to keep in the back of your mind too for your wallet and finance. So we'll keep a close eye on this, because this is something that it's not going to be a one thing release and then we're not going to talk about it. Because it's a seeker mold, it's going to reverberate over a long period of time. I mean, again, just an indicator, like when MP3 Starscream came out in 2006, the reverberation of that mold would go on for a minimum of 4 years. And then when the MP-11 Starscream came out in 2012, it's kind of the same thing. It kept like reverberating for a minimum of 5 years. So it's the same thing here. When this Starscream Seeker mold's going to come out, you're talking we're going to be revisiting this mold for at least 4 to 5 years across multiple characters, and possibly even multiple West and East releases too, if Hasbro ever does want to revisit bringing Masterpiece G1 stuff over back to America, which kind of is hot or cold a lot of times. Usually us Masterpiece collectors really have to focus on Japan, and Hasbro really is a backup plan if certain things are not available. But yeah, let me know what you think about this, especially like, if you're a Seeker collector or a Masterpiece completist, especially if you're someone like my buddy Black Dragon, Larry. He went out of his way to get all the Conehead Seekers, and now it's like this comes up and it's just like, man, he went through all that trouble to complete them all, and now if there's going to be even more show accurate versions coming, it's like, do you just stick with your guns and go, oh, well, I'm just going to stay with what I have, or do you kind of try to resell them all and try to get the better versions of that, or do you, someone like me who's just an insane completist and keep them all? But let me know what you think. This is pretty nutty, and it's going to be a strong indicator of stuff they're going to have to deal with in the future.